Hey guys, Red Chopstick here. Do you love weapons? Cause I know I do. In video games, we love testing out our new weapons to see how our enemies die. Oh sure, punching and kicking is nice, but let's face it, once we get a weapon, we use it. From swords to guns, there's no doubt about it, it's fun to have and fun to use. But today I'm not here to talk about the weapons that are good, no, we're here to talk about the weapons that could make you consider surrendering. I present to you the top 10 worst weapons in video games, but before we begin, just a few rules. 1. Just because a weapon is breakable doesn't mean it sucks. A lot of weapons nowadays have a realistic approach. After a certain amount of use, they break. Now while this is annoying, it's not bad. A lot of weapons in Dead Rising series, for example, can break easily, but they're all not that bad. Number 2. No power-ups. What I consider a power-up is an item or ability that alters your body. A weapon is something you physically have to hold on to. So power-ups like the poison mushroom from the Mario series, while it does kill you once you grab it, it's a power-up, not a weapon. Or upgrades from the Mega Man series. Again, power-ups, not weapons. That's an entire different episode though. And finally, we're looking at the use of the weapon, not the design. Let's all face it, the gunblade from Final Fantasy VIII is silly, and it would not work in reality. However, in the game, it's your first piece of equipment, and it works fine. If this was your ultimate weapon, I'd probably put it on the list, but it's not. With those out of the way, these are the top 10 worst weapons in video games. The chemical thrower from BioShock. In BioShock, you're given plenty of weapons and abilities to battle splicers in Rapture. From pistols to machine guns to crossbows to bazookas, you're given all sorts of weapons. But one always tilted my head, and that's the chemical thrower. The chemical thrower is just basically a flamethrower that shoots flames, but it can also shoot ice and electricity. And while that does sound good, it just seems redundant. You already have the ability with plasmids to actually use ice, fire, and lightning with a snap of your fingers, so what's the point of this weapon? Isn't that kinda like if Superman always took a plane to get from place to place despite the fact that he can fly? Not only that, the chemical thrower has a short range, it seems bulky and has a long reloading time. But with that said, it's still good against some bosses, and I have to admit it is fun seeing things burn. Being all crispy and black. Yeah, I think I'm a psycho. The pistol from Star Wars Battlefront. I love Battlefront, it's just mindless fun playing as the soldiers rather than an all-powerful Jedi. In the game, you play either as the good guys or the bad guys, and you get to pick all sorts of different classes. The one common thing about the classes is that they all have a pistol. Well, a few of them does at least. Now I'm not complaining that the pistol is weaker than all the other weapons, actually it's supposed to be made weaker. The pistol is made as a backup weapon, you actually use it for a quick switch when you need to reload. However, I just have one thing I've always questioned about this pistol. Why does it have an overheat meter? I understand Gatling guns and turrets, but a pistol? Why doesn't it just have a smaller clip? It just seems unnecessary and added for the sake of annoyance. It's already got the lower power, so what's the point? Now this weapon is low on the list because in its sequel, Star Wars Battlefront 2, you can actually switch classes at the command post. But it doesn't help the fact that the pistol still has an overheat meter, and trust me, when you run out of ammo for all your other weapons and you find a Jedi next to you, using the pistol, not gonna work. No, ow! Damn it. Fester's gun from Fester's Quest. When aliens come down and try to take over the world, do not let Uncle Fester try and fight them, especially if he has this weapon. In Fester's Quest, you are given this pathetic gun that shoots tiny little green orbs. The damage is at its minimum and it fires at a slow rate. While firing, you can pick up these quote-unquote upgrades to the weapon that for whatever reason makes it stronger, but doesn't fire straight. Every upgrade for the weapon goes in a sort of pattern. Now while this weapon is bad, a lot of the frustration doesn't come from the weapon itself, but more of the area around it. Oftentimes it's the area that goes against you. It's either really narrow hallways or some bushes in your way. You want to kill these enemies, but there's just something blocking the shots. Come on, get these guys! Who made the sewer so small? Like I said before, this weapon is still bad, but a lot of it comes from the area around you. But I still don't want to use this when the aliens attack. The torch from ghosts and goblins. You know, funny story, I've never actually beaten this game, even for the first time. Quite sad. While trying to get your princess back, you must fight zombies, ghosts, and all kinds of other creatures with your spear. Along the way, you'll pick up a knife, a torch, and a shield. Now while I questioned the idea of throwing a shield at a monster, I questioned the torch even more. The torch throws fireballs at your enemies, but they have this sort of arc motion with them. And while that was common within NES games at the time, you also have a limited flame. You can only toss 2 at a time, and then you have to wait until both of them are completely gone to toss even more. This basically leaves you open for an attack, and oftentimes you die. In fact, you always die. And even when you die, you're still stuck with this torch, and trust me, the torch basically says, "Kill me, I'm open." The bowgun from Resident Evil. Now in theory, a crossbow in a zombie world, that's a good idea. However, you'd be wrong in Resident Evil. In Resident Evil 2, if you play as Claire, you are actually given the bowgun where Leon gets his shotgun. Both of these weapons work well against zombies at close range, but the bowgun for some reason fires 3 arrows at the same time. Not only that, the shot and a spread. Because of the bowgun's firing range, it actually makes ammunition go a lot faster than a shotgun. Since it fires 3 arrows at a time and you start off with 15, you'll run out of 5 shots. Now while the weapon was, well, less than okay, and it did pretty decent well with other games as well, in Resident Evil Darkside Chronicles, the bowgun got an upgrade, or downgrade depending on how you look at it. The bowgun now fires at a burst of 3 to 5 arrows, but it all depends on how long you hold the trigger button. This often made me press the button so many times I get a random burst, and I lose ammunition quicker than all the other weapons. Also the damage is random as well. Sometimes I'd use 1 arrow at a zombie and it'd kill it, other times I need about 12 just to put 1 down. Ammunition for this weapon is hard to find, it's got weak power, and I rarely use it. In fact, I only use it as a last result. Although I do have to admit, it is kind of funny to see the zombies with 1,000 arrows stuck into it.
Message for you, son!
The Giant's Knife from Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Now I'm sure we're all familiar with the Giant's Knife, so we don't need to talk about it. Let's move on! Fine, let's talk about it. So you're recently given a hint that you can actually get a new sword, but it takes somewhere to 5 to 6 years in order to do it. So what do? We go forward in time with the Master Sword! And here I thought a blue box was a weird way of traveling. Once you get there, you can find out that you can get the sword for only 200 rubies. Wait, 200? I can't carry that much! So this means I have to do a side quest to get the adult sword, save up again, and finally I can buy this weapon. This ultimate weapon, the Giant's Knife! Not the name I would have gone with, but you know what? A name's a name. This weapon's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna test it out right now. Oh my god, this thing is awesome! Ha! Take that, you stupid zombies! Yes, with this weapon I shall save Zelda, and this kingdom, and all my enemies will fear me, and my Giant's Knife! Wait a minute. It breaks? You mean to tell me I waited 6 years, spent 200 rubies on an item that breaks as easy as glow sticks? No, wait. Glow sticks don't break as easily compared to this knife! Now yes, before you go on, you can actually make this weapon a lot stronger with a certain side quest, but I had no idea the first time I played this thing. I thought this was a joke! And you know what the most insulting thing is? You can still use this as a sword. A really, really, really short sword. Seriously, glow sticks are better than this! The Club from GoldenEye. GoldenEye was perhaps the very first person shooter game I've ever played. And how could I not? It's just tons of fun. All the weapons you get, odd job, the auto aim. But there's one weapon that always bothered me. And that's the Club. The Club has been infamous as the worst weapon in 007, but technically speaking that's not completely true. The shotgun is considered much worse. It only fires 5 pellets and it's weaker than all the other weapons. At a long range. At short range it's a lot better. The Club is much worse because it's just designed poorly. It's a submachine gun, but it seems more like a joke. It's got horrible accuracy, pathetic damage, and its magazine is really small. It only fires 20 rounds. I'm told that this weapon is best held when you dual wield them, but let's face it, if I didn't want to use one, what makes you think I want to hold 2? The Banana Peel from Mario Kart. In the Mario Kart franchise, you're given tons of weapons to use against other racers. A bunch of cheaters if you ask me. Unless I'm in first place, then it's perfectly fine. By hitting random blocks, you can pick up turtle shells, thunderbolts, boos, and all kinds of other items. but one item makes you groan every single time you pick one up. The banana peel, the most common item in the race. Using the banana peel is pretty simple. Once another racer slips on it, it spins him in a circle and stops him. But not completely. Unlike red shells would send your opponent up in the sky, banana peels will sometimes move you just an inch forward, or sometimes doesn't work at all. The banana peel can actually let other racers move just a bit further ahead before spinning in a circle. There's also a way to stop the banana peels. If you hit the brakes at a certain time, you actually cancel the effect of the banana peels. Not to mention it's easy to dodge, and there's really not much to do about them. The only useful thing I can think of is when the banana can be used as a shield against red shells. One time, mind you, but it's still useful. The Pokeball from Super Smash Bros. With Godin. The Pokeballs can summon one random Pokemon and actually does a certain type of attack depending on the Pokemon. But one of them just makes you smack your head with the controller every time you get it, and that's Godin. For those who aren't aware, Godin is a water-type Pokemon from Generation 1, and for one reason or another in Super Smash Bros., all it does is flop around. And does nothing. I always found this kinda odd because we had Magikarp in Generation 1. Or was that way too obvious? Godin has appeared in every single Super Smash Bros. Games to date, and has done nothing in all of them. Nothing at all! Now it's complete random what Pokemon you get from the Pokeballs, and truth be told there are two types of damage you get from the Pokeballs. The Pokeball itself, and the Pokemon in it. And of all the Pokemon, Godin does no damage. Every time this Pokemon pops up, everyone smacks their head. I should know. I've done it plenty of times.
Godin, 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 Godin.
And the #1 worst weapon in video game is the cane from Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde on the NES. You know, out of all the weapons on this list, at least they work. They suck, but they work. The cane from Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is worthless, pathetic, a waste of space. It does absolutely nothing. In the game, you play as Dr. Jekyll trying to get to his wedding, but for some reason the whole town wants to kill him, and they do it with their bodies, the animals they have, or bombs. You're given a cane to defend yourself, but it doesn't work. Stabbing anybody does nothing, it just misses somehow. No, wait, I take that back. The cane works on one thing. A bee. So I can swat a tiny little bee that I just find annoying. But I can't hit someone that's 5 inches in front of my face? Even with this in mind, I'm still hitting the attack button despite the fact that I know it's not going to do anything. Maybe I'm thinking that once in a blue moon it's going to work, but it doesn't! I'm not sure if there's a reason why or if it's some cruel joke, but the cane in Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde on the NES is considered the worst weapon in video game history.